Today on Voices from the Touchline, I'm joined by one of South Africa's most dynamic and passionate football minds, Ashraf Calvert. From developing grassroots players to leading women's football to historic success, Ashraf's journey is a masterclass in dedication and adaptability. He's coached across youth, women's, and futsal levels, even guiding Vasco Da Gama Ladies to a remarkable treble and promotion to the Hollywood Bets National League. With a background rooted in player development, long-term player pathways, and coaching education, Ashraf embodies what it means to build football from the ground up. We'll be diving into his coaching philosophy, his approach to talent identification, and what it truly takes to build the future of South African football. Ashraf, so good to have you again. Welcome to Voices from the Touchline. How are you
Hi
today?
Ryan, thanks for having me. It's such an honor to be here.
Superb. So I think it's going to be a wonderful chat because you have such brilliant insights in football, and the audience will definitely have quite a few takeaways. So, yes, to begin, you've coached across youth, women's, and even futsal teams. So, how has that diverse experience shaped your coaching philosophy?
Look, so all the different entities shapes you and grows you and helps your philosophy. Grassroots, obviously, you need to instill a lot of patience and know that that's more fun and learning more than anything else. And as you go throughout the seniors, it gets more competitive and winning is a factor depending on what league you are coaching in. So I think as a person, as a coach, all of those things makes you a better person, better coach because you have to adapt and you have to change. You have to be reminded if you're coaching grassroots, you're coaching seniors, and I think that is where the good coaches really excel, is knowing when to do what in different ages. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. And you've played a major role in youth development. So, what are the key elements you look for when identifying and nurturing young talent?
So when it comes to youth, you obviously look at the passion first. What players have the passion. You look at the ability. You look at the parent support. That's a big thing. Are parents being helicopter parents? Are they there just to support? And then the main thing is how you as a coach use all that elements to help the player develop. But it comes down to the players firstly. Do they really like the sport and do they want to do it? You get different skill levels, and you also get most of the players won't make it. So you as a coach, you have to still give them that quality coaching, no matter where they're going to fit into the football cycle at the end of the day. But the main thing is looking at the ability and the passion. That's what we look for, and then obviously the parent support.
Yeah, that's always a good step one, and then of course work your magic. So, you've also done work in the LTPD. Let's talk about your work with the LTPD model. How do you implement it effectively at club level?
So at the moment, I'm working at the community club, Rygersdal Football Club, where we take everybody there. So we don't chase away anybody, and unless we reach our full capacity. So at the moment, we probably have three teams in each age group. So in that regard, we try and sift them according to strength, so that the strong play with the strong, especially for competition and growth and development to occur. But with that, we also make sure that we do allow some of them moving up and down to just get a feel and not get complacent in what they're doing, and also to give growth. You get early developers and developers, so we need to cater for all. Then you get the stages where they go through puberty, and then the kids that maybe were dynamic and fast, they reach 12, 13, then they're not as fast because they maybe had a growth spurt. So yeah, there's a lot of factors that you have to keep in mind in the long-term player development, which is very important. And one thing at our club is age maturity. So to give you an example, if we play the first half of the season, everybody in their own age group. The second half will then move everybody up, or some of the boys up, to play and fast track their development and give them that challenge, so that their growth is not stunted and they get that age, that football maturity at the early age. So yeah.
Well, yeah, so I think, you've done some incredible stuff in football, and what excites me most is to discuss the history you created with Vasco da Gama Ladies. You won a treble and you gained promotion. So, what were the biggest challenges in building a winning culture in women's football?
So I think that's quite an interesting story. So just before I started coaching at Vasco, I was at the club Social Loza, and things didn't work out over there. And the job at Vasco to went with the coach. We had basically a swapping of coaches in that season. So when you bring new players to a club, you have your other players that are there and new players coming in. So getting that team dynamic and culture is very, very difficult because then players will believe, oh, coach is bringing his players and the old players are feeling neglected. So it was hard to start. But how we overcame it, there was a lot of team building, a lot of psychological sessions where we brought mentors in to work on the mind and to make everybody understand that we're all under one umbrella here. We're focusing on the same goals. We're here to help each other. We're here to build bonds. And once we got that out of the way, things started running smoothly. I'm not going to lie, it was probably my most challenging season and most successful season in the same go. Reason when you're coaching females, it gets a little hard. They form cliques, and to get them out of the cliques, it's quite hard. And then obviously the position competition, players don't understand that when I coach, it's performance based. So the one that's performing is going to play no matter how good or not good you are. So that was the main challenges. Even though we went throughout that season unbeaten, I think we drew 3 games and we won everything. And even at the playoffs, we weren't one of the favorites. So to win the whole thing was amazing feeling on a national level. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think, since I'm, of course, also passionate about developing the women's game, why don't you tell tell me and the audience in more detail your entire journey with the club? I mean, right from maybe player recruitment, training, coaching, all of it. Why don't you just enlighten us further on that project?
So whereas the community club I'm with now, like I said, the players come out their own. We don't host trials. But I think your club it builds the reputation on the coaching structure. So if there is structure, for one, we only hire qualified coaches. So minimum D license, if you have more than a D, it's beneficial. So we don't believe in parent coaching because that causes a lot of conflict. So if you can create a coaching structure, which is very important. I'm also at the moment the technical director. So my focus is to coach the coaches and make sure that they are doing what they need to do in the various ages, and make sure that the player development is at forefront of everything. And I think once you have that and word of mouth gets there, I think players tend to naturally come. And you can see the successes in the various age groups. I'm not worried about tournament winnings at young level, but if you look at under 18, qualifying for major trophy tournaments like the Bale and Engine and competing on the highest level against the big clubs like Sundowns, etc. Those are the ones that actually create players coming to you, and the rest is just up to the club to make sure that they keep the structure professional, and that's how we do it.
Well, superb. It's brought you tremendous success. And you've coached again at both grassroots and high level competitive teams. So, how do you balance player development with the pressure to win?
So, like I said before, the balance is very critical. You, as the coach, need to know that if you're coaching under 13, your main aim is to develop. You need to take winning out of it. I think most of the pressure comes from the parents wanting to win. But I think if the coach understands and explains to the players, your job here is to learn as much as you can. Take out the winning, just focus on competing. If you get that instilled into the players at a young age, you won't have the problem. I think the problem is mainly with the parents that always wants to win and don't like losing. Because at that age, everybody needs to play equal minutes. You need to rotate. I believe in not set starting 11s, give everybody a chance to sit on the bench. So when they're older, they're going to get a time to sit on the bench and they don't nag about it. They experienced on it. They can sit and support. So I think that is the main thing is perhaps when you come to seniors, like I said, depending on the level, if you're in a competitive league where there's promotional, winning is the forefront. You have to play the strongest, but then player management comes in. You have to manage your players. You have to control your dressing room. If you don't control your dressing room, you won't pick up the results. And I think that is the difference. So knowing when to focus on development and taking winning out, and then the seniors is how to control your dressing room and managing players, which is very important. I believe in players before people before players. So coaching the human before the footballer, because I think in the longer run, they will learn more from the sport than anything else. And 1% makes it to professional. So your job is to make better people as a coach, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, holistically develop people so that they learn something from the sport and then have a good life ahead. So you have mentioned that you're a technical director and part of your role is coaching the coaches. So as someone passionate about coaching education, what gaps do you see in how coaches are trained currently in South Africa, and if so, how can they be addressed?
Okay, so at the moment, I feel like our licenses needs to be updated. I think most of the courses are very old school, whereas the football game is moving forward. I think it needs to update to follow the trend and the level that we are in when it comes to football, and the issues that you face when coaching. And I don't think our licenses cover that, because I can guarantee you, if you go for your D license and you get your D license, it's still not going to equip you enough to take a grassroots team, to take a under 16 team or a senior team. So I think we need to just really re-look at that and then structure it so that there is a difference. I've been doing workshops with the coaches based on my experience and what I feel they should need to equip themselves when they do go in there. And I think it has worked over the time, because when they go for their D's and C's, they always let me know and say, your really helped me fast and further. So I think that is one of the things that need to be improved on. And I think that instructors should be very strict on passing people when they're not ready, so that they can go back and actually try and learn and do better, instead of just fast tracking coaches. Because we have this thing of, oh, you're ex-pro, you go through the badges very quickly, which stunts the team at wherever they're coaching, because the quality of coaching is not there. And I think that is a major problem in football in general, is the fast tracking and the quality of courses basically in South Africa, basically.
Right. So I think my idea is that increase the standards, make it stricter, ensure that coaches who truly deserve to pass the license are the ones who should proceed ahead. Definitely. And you've led international youth tours and national futsal teams. So how important would you say it is for international exposure for young players and coaches alike?
I think that is utmost important, because they get exposed to what's happening outside in the global scale, and players have this belief that they are the best and they can do the most. But when they go on the national tour and they see that these players are advanced and much more ahead of themselves, they get that sense of hunger and wanting to do better, and have that dream being even bigger to play for one of the international teams. Some will get the drive, some will get despondent, but the main aim is to see what's really out there and how they're doing it differently. Also seeing the difference in facilities. I think here in South Africa, we struggle with facilities. It's not on the best standard. And when you go to those tours and you see how nice and how great the things are, the dream to get there is even bigger. And for coaches alike, you get to see and meet and network coaches, and networking is very important. I think sharing knowledge, and at the end of the day, we obviously work with people and we want to give them the best that we can do. So networking on the national scale is very, 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 very important.
Well, yes, definitely. And also what was interesting when I saw your profile was that you have coached in the ABC Motsepe League. So, for all the global audience listening, if you could, number one, of course, tell us what the league is about, and secondly, what lessons you learned from coaching because you took a team from scratch to a top four finish.
The internet connection. So, taking a team from scratch, and the ABC has definitely gave me a lot of information. Luckily, I played with some of the players and I watched a lot of football. So, assembling a team, I had 4 weeks to assemble a team in the ABC to prep for that season. So, I basically took who I could get and make it work. And like I said, the main thing is getting the people to believe, getting the players to know that this is how things are going to be, and play to a specific system. Um, which is very important. And I think just having so little time and still ending up fourth was good, because one, for me, it gave me an indication of the level of the league and the players in the league. And the season after that, I went to go win the Nedbank Cup, which is to play with the big dogs, the PSL teams. And then I won the league with another team, Young Bafana, in the second season. So I think the first season, taking something from scratch, gave me that information that I needed. But also boosted the club to fill gaps where we needed and maybe fell short the season before. Also, having a proper preseason was very important. You know, a normal preseason is 6 to 8 weeks. We have had 4 seasons with no team. So you could imagine how hard that was and the challenges that we faced. But we did extremely well in our first season. I'm proud of that moment.
Well, from your record so far, you're clearly a leader on and off the pitch. So, what does leadership in football mean to you, and how do you cultivate it in your players?
So for me, leadership is so important. You need to have leaders in your team. You as a coach need to be a leader. If your players don't believe in you and see that you can lead the team, you will lose the dressing room. And once you lose the dressing room, it's going to be very hard. So you need to be that role model to players. I coach players that's older than me, and they still look up to me and they believe that I can lead them, and that is key. And I think it comes on through the past. I think the teams that I used to play for, I was captain for probably most of them, part two, and that gave me the leadership quality from a young age. And then taking the coaching, making sure that you read the room and make sure that you are challenging everybody and they understand that there's a lot of growth in certain areas. And I think that is the important thing. And then also giving key players various leadership roles besides your captain, because you're going to need leaders on the field. And when your coach is out, they need to take the role and make sure that everybody's stepping in line. And you know, we have the young players and the senior players, and getting that culture, you need leadership even from the young senior players. So if you don't have that in your team, you're going to struggle.
Well, so how do you do this? Do you assign one vice captain? Do you assign multiple vice captains, or is it that you have one captain and then you give ad hoc responsibilities to multiple players?
So generally, you would have a captain and a vice captain of your team, and then on the side, you will. What I will do is I'll wrap my arm around some of the players and tell them, look here, you are my senior striker. This is what your role. This is what I expect from you. If it doesn't go, you should keep motivating. And then I do it in each of my lines, my defensive line, midfield line, and my attacking line. I give responsibilities to players and tell them how important they are in the team and what their role is. And I think they feed off that. And they feed into that belief, and they become that person and that leader. And I think that is the critical way of doing it. Just not the captain or the vice captain.
Yep, yep. Well, it's interesting that you've got a leader in every line, so that's great. And now you see every footballer develops at a different pace. They have different requirements in their training. So how do you approach player-specific training? And do you think it's important to, have a player-specific training in an individualized development in today's game?
Yes, so if you look at let's look at the lower long-term player structures when you're coaching juniors, young grassroots. I think more time on the ball is going to help you increase. So whatever you do, whatever you do most is going to help you grow the most. So if you just coming to training on club days, you are just going to be doing 2 days to 3 days a week, whereas you'll get players that's doing personal training, 1v1 training, or getting special programs from the coach that's going to advance them. So I always encourage parents to do extra while they're still young, to try and do 5 to 6 times a week, specialize to go to soccer schools or do private coaching. You know, it's not all the time that coaches are available to do 1v1 sessions, but there is other opportunities, and that's very important. The younger they do it, and I always tell parents, if they're gonna put the effort in now, you're gonna feel it 3 years later. You're not gonna get that impact right now. Is as well as for the senior level, if they don't do more than what they do. So specialized training, if you have free kick specialist, he needs to kick 100 balls a day. That's 500 balls a week. When it comes to game critical free kick, he knows his chances of scoring is high. Same with set pieces. Just to give an example, and everybody needs different things. So you could say a right wing back is someone that needs to be high endurance, needs to work up and down. So he's going to focus a lot on endurance, explosivity. So to where the center back is focusing on plyometrics, jumping, short sprints, those kind of things. So as a coach, you need to know how to specialize in each position specific, and it's obviously going to add more value to the player. And if everybody is doing it on a collective, the team is going to improve. So yeah, it's very important.
Well, it definitely would. And again, now getting back to one of the points you had mentioned when we had started was that, of course, the players' interest, but also the parents. So, what role does community and parent involvement play in the success of youth football programs? according to you?
Yeah, for me, I think this is a big topic, especially in community clubs. Where you get parents that are helicopter parents. They believe the child is the best, and they believe the child must always play, mustn't get subbed. They put pressure on the children by shouting on the sidelines and all these things that's not good for the game. At our club, we have a parent code of conduct. So parents mustn't be coaching from the sides. They mustn't interact with the coaches. We have the coaches not allowed to speak to the parents. If they want to, they must go directly to the management line or myself as the technical director, but no interaction so that there's no influence on the sides. And we try and minimize the pressure, because if everybody's shouting on the sides, the kids can't think and do what they need to do and decide for themselves. So their cognitive skills takes a bit of a toll there. So having a parent code of conduct is very important, and being strict as a club, because if they get to out the end, we will take them away from the sideline and just let the parents play. There is clubs that had for half a season and not allowed parents or any supporters to come in the grounds because of parents shouting and getting involved. And parents just want to win no matter what age, and that is bad for football. And some coaches at some clubs also want to win, and then the instructions is wrong, and then that stunts the development. So I'm happy to say that our club is doing really well in that regard. You still have it one or two new parents that come, but if we see it, we try and address it immediately so that the child can develop freely and without pressure.
Well, there are a lot of clubs that do have a parent code of conduct, but with football being an emotional sport, the moment it's match day, of course, a lot of that goes out of the window. So, have you faced a lot of situations of such kind? And if so, how do you usually deal with it? I'm asking this because, this is the reality of
Yeah,
grassroots football. So, this would be a reference point. Maybe, okay, this is how you deal with it. It could be an idea for others as well.
100%. So look, for me, I told the parents from the start, if we go into league, I rotate. I let everybody play. If it's young, it's under 12, everybody's gonna play, because when you go to tournament, you want everybody to play. Also, you come to a final now and you're letting somebody play 2 minutes. That parent's gonna be very unhappy with you and they're gonna chop you. So I let them know that I'm rotating everybody. If we win by everybody putting it in, because I can guarantee you that player that doesn't play in the final, he's gonna remember you till he's old. The rest of your life, he's gonna remember you. But maybe you lost in the final and everybody played, you lost, but they had a chance to have that taste in the final. So I think it comes down to just managing parents, managing players, and letting them know transparently this is how we're gonna do it. If we were to win, everybody had the chance and everybody had to play. And the challenging part as a coach is, especially in the community club, the skill levels are very vast. You have quality and then you have not so quality, and you have to now read. You have to know who and how to mix and match the players so that you do get the result at the end of the day. Sometimes it doesn't go your way, but like I said, if you take winning out of it and you take that, you don't have to worry, because at the end for coach in development, you have to think about, has everybody got a chance? Or is everybody happy? And they have to go through losing. Losing, everybody hates losing, but it's a learning at the end of the day. That emotional you feel. And I know some parents will still be upset, like, why do you take my child if we could have won this game? Those are stuff that coaches need to understand as part of your role as a coach. You're gonna experience that, but how you handle it is just pull the parent aside and tell them, okay, this is the reasons, that is why. And if they know before, like I said, then you will have less parents on your case or having problems. And I can say I've dealt with a good couple of parents, even not all my team, but to address it, because it's a problem that's going to be everywhere. It's always going to be there. It's never going to change. But if clubs get the strictness in that and transparency, I think it will be easier.
Yeah, golden words there for sure. Another thing that I was quite impressed with was that you have done a course in cover coaching. So, cover is of course a very big name
Worldwide.
in coach
Yeah.
education all around the world, especially with I would say, importance towards technical development. So, can you tell us about this passing skills and ball mastery that you did in 2014 under cover?
Yeah, with Kuva, I did like 3 or 4 of the short courses, Kuva coaching courses. I believe education is power, and I think the more you upskill yourself as a coach, the more you're gonna learn. And the Kuva is, I would say, probably one of the best um, coaching courses you can go to for development, because they teach you the different role techniques or the touches on the ball. Coaching is like personal training. Each coach has a different name for a different skill, and they try and how can I say, unify the jargon where we're all using the same terminologies for a certain move because it's on a global scale. And I think if coaches really understand how important that is from a young age, everybody will help grow the game. And I think that's what Kuva has done for me. Getting that knowledge at a young age and starting to implement it and seeing what works, what doesn't work, and then obviously adding my own extra as I do with it. And yeah, that's basically
Yes, I mean, I'm sure because a lot of coaches all around have positive things to say. So now, your interests lie in youth development, female football development, coach. Your ambitions include coaching a pro club, coaching a national team. You have also, as we spoke about, player-specific training, futsal, coach education, and player rehabilitation. Now, my question is that looking ahead, what are your aspirations as a coach? Is it national team leadership? Is it pro club management, or is it something else?
Yeah, so my dream would be to coach a national team. It was in the junior structures, under 20, under 17, and then obviously Bafana one day, and then coaching pro in the men's game. I believe I am capable of doing it, but obviously, yeah, in South Africa, you need to be an ex-professional or you need to win your way up into the ranks. If you're not an ex-professional, I think our system flaws in that regard, where they don't base coaches on what they've achieved in the past 5 years. It's more about the name you carry as a pro player. And I think that's why South African football is stunted a bit because you're playing tomorrow and then you retire, then the next day you are coaching again. And then you have coaches that are really doing the hard work, going through the badges, coaching the different long-term play development structures, getting results in the seniors, winning trophies, but still doesn't get the nod because they're not really trusted by the chairmans. And chairmans here in South Africa really want to have an input on how to select and do things not the right way. And I think coaches don't have the backbone to say, look, I'm the coach, give me KPIs. If I don't get the KPIs, then fire me. That's fine. But if I do it, then I am trustworthy of it. So young coaches like myself, we always face that challenge. We might be looked on as too young or not being an ex-professional. But if we look at the CV, it hasn't taken me more than 2 seasons to win any league. I've won all the amateur leagues in females and in males game. So it's just for me to get that nod in the professional setup. So yeah, I think for me, I want to coach in the national level or in the pro team, which I will
Yeah,
get one.
definitely. This point that you have mentioned about ex-professionals getting the nod ahead, I don't think that that's a problem only in South Africa. That's all around the world. And since you've mentioned, I mean, you've got your A license. As you mentioned, you have won a league in within 2 years wherever you've been. So definitely, you're up there in the race. A fun question to conclude with. So, if you could have coffee with any coach, past or present, who would it be and why?
So I think I'd choose two at this moment. Past would be Sir Alex Ferguson because he was one of my idols. I'm a United supporter and I love the work he did. Obviously, starting off rough and then turning the team into a golden team. And then I think Jurgen Klopp would be the other one because I find myself more like him. We very people to people. We like working on bonds and then coaching comes through afterwards and the systems and how we do things is fairly similar. So I think those are the two coaches I would love to sit down and have a coffee with and just be in their presence alone.
Yeah, well, these are two incredible choices, but let me make it tough for you. If you had to choose one out of the two.
I say Jurgen Klopp.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. So, yeah, this brings us to the end of such a wonderful episode, another wonderful podcast, and you have given us great insights. This is again going to be of great use to everyone. And yeah, thank you for your time, Ashraf. This was really incredible.
Thanks for having me, Ryan, and I love your work. Keep doing what you're doing, and I hope on a global scale that all the coaches around the world will watch your videos and learn to pick up certain things that could help on a global scale. Thank you.
Thank you.